All right, welcome back. This is John Fly, and this is part 2 of a tutorial series for the IXEG 737-300 Classic. Just a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm generally, in flight simulation, a general aviation pilot. So I fly a lot of Cessna, Piper. I've ventured into the TBM, some of the Diamonds, etc. So I'm not really a tube liner or heavy metal jet pilot per se, so I may make a lot of mistakes with regard to procedure and order and etc. Not following a checklist, just doing a little bit of what I've learned myself so far. You should always use a checklist. So with that being said, if you have any sort of constructive criticism with regard to my procedures and the way that I'm doing things, feel free to comment it below, and we'll all learn from that. So, and in time, after I do a various amount of tutorials, I'll probably go back and do a flight with the checklists, and we may even do a Pilot Edge live ATC at the end here. So, all right, well, we are here at the gate. Normally, you would starting the engines after you push back from the gate, but in our case, the first tutorial, I started the engines at the gate, which you normally would not do. I'm going to go up here to the ground services menu, and I'm going to click on. You'd think if I clicked on nose right that it would go that way, but it's as if you're the captain looking out the glare shield. You want the plane to go the nose to the left. So we're going to click on nose left, and it says either release brakes. So I'm going to go over here on my throttle quadrant here, as you can see in the lower left-hand video camera. I've got a button. You can't see it really well, but I've got a button here programmed to release the brakes. So I just press that button. Then it'll start to release. It will release the brakes, and then our pushback will start. And hopefully we chose the right nose left. This is normally where you'd start to do your engines, etc. But so keep that in mind for proper procedure. I do have the sound volume turned back a little bit so you can hear me. And also I've got ForeFlight running. You can see here that we are at the D gates. We're going to taxi from Delta 8, Echo 8 to 24 left. So it's not a really long taxi today, of course. The other thing I need to do that I didn't do during the cold and dark tutorial is I need to turn my flight director on both sides. I also need to arm my auto throttle. I'm going to bring my auto throttle speed up a little bit there. We're also going to be flying. I'll go ahead and use my SciTech panel here for the heading. And I'm going to rotate. As you can see, as I'm rotating this knob, it's changing the heading right there. So I'm rotating that knob there. We'll go heading 240 for now. Our initial altitude 3,000 because we're doing the loop 8. We want to stay under. Well, we're going to hand fly it for a period of time, so I don't think we're going to cross the radial where we're supposed to be below 3,000. So we'll just take this up to 10,000 for now. We're supposed to cross the LAX VOR at or above 10,000 feet. All right, so everything okay there on the MCP, as far as I can tell. One thing we also want to do is, well, we'll do it after we taxi. All right, so we've got our pushback truck. We'll go ahead and set the parking brake. The pushback truck goes away. And we'll release the brakes again. Spool up the engines a little bit here. We'll follow the line out here. One thing I like to do when I'm streaming on twitch.tv/JohnFly is I like to go hold down shift and hit the number 2. And it gives a really nice view of the taxi. The only thing is when you're looking at the plane from this vantage point, your rudder pedals are opposite. So we will. So right here, we're going to go ahead and take a look. So right here, you would hold short. This is an odd taxi path that we're taking, but this line up here, as you can see, is black and yellow, and it's got big red paint showing that this is the entryway to runway 24 left. So normally when you're on an airline traffic control network such as Pilot Edge, you're going to want to hold short here at this line before you go on to the runway. You have to get clearance from tower. We're not doing online ATC at the moment, so we'll go ahead and continue our taxi out onto runway 24 left. Again, hold down shift and hit the number 2. We get that nice little outside view. And we'll go ahead and stop the plane at this point. And we're going to go up top here. And actually what we could do is we could come up here to the checklist. And we could do our before takeoff checklist. So during our pre-flight video, I did set the flaps, but I started the simulator over. So what I'm going to do is, you can see here again down here below, I'm going to go ahead and hit my flaps button until I get to flaps 5, because that's what our departure today is. So it's really handy to have that flaps button there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my stabilizer trim. So right down here, you've got this green area here for the stabilizer trim. And I'm going to I've programmed my stabilizer trim onto my Cessna Cytec yoke. So if I hold this button down or push it up, I'm rotating the stabilizer trim. So today we want to go to 4.8 on the stabilizer trim. You would do this probably before you lined up on the runway, by the way. You could do this before, way before. But during the before takeoff checklist, you do check stabilizer trim 4.8 units. Cabin call has been given. Down here, we'll simulate our transponder. We're squawking 4042. We'll turn that on. That looks good. I think as far as our lights are concerned, we want to turn on. I saw a professional pilot up here just do the inboard lights on. Not sure why. We'll turn, the taxi lights weren't on before, so we'll turn on our strobe. And I think that all looks good. I think we will follow that checklist here pretty soon, maybe on the full flight. Okay, we can leave the logo light off because it's not nighttime. I think that all looks good. This is an expanded checklist from Dr. Nerd Rage and P. Triron. It's the one that came with the aircraft is a little more basic. So after takeoff, we're going to do engine bleeds on. That's interesting. Pax auto, landing gear up and off, flaps up, no lights, altimeter, cross check. We're going to have to refine our after takeoff procedure. I'm doing it a little bit differently today. All right, so let's see, auto throttle's on, so I'm going to scroll down here, and this button right here on the throttle quadrant is your toga button. Now, a lot of people can program this to a button, so I could program it to any one of these buttons down here on the joystick or the throttle quadrant. I haven't done that yet, so we'll just go ahead and hit toga. I think that's going to set our plane into motion. I'll take my throttles up so I can retract them if I needed to. Again, I've got my engine sounds down today, so forgive me for that. In a future video, I will have a little more sound volume from the plane. So we're coming down here, passing 100 knots. We're going to rotate here in just a moment. There's our rotation speed. So we're going to pitch for 10 degrees. And we got a positive rate, so I'm going to put my gear up. Continue to pitch for 10 degrees. And I'm going to, flaps not quite up. Probably do it a little bit later. But I'll go ahead and put them up now because I might forget. So I have a button down here that syncs my heading bug. I'm going to go ahead and initialize the autopilot here by clicking A, and we'll go into heading mode. That's going to keep us on an approximate runway heading, because on the Loop 8 departure, you come out, and I'll bring up the departure here, Loop 8. So the Loop 8, you fly runway heading out. If you're on 25 left, you don't make a change to 236. You just keep flying out. And what we're going to do is on the, see how it says 15 right there? The LAX VOR, when we're at 15 DME, oh, we got a little warning here, autopilot. I think we're okay. One thing I normally do is a little flyby as I come out of the airport. So we're going to tune in the Los Angeles VOR, which is 113.6. So over here on my radio panel, I'm going to change it to 113.6 on this thing, and then I'm going to click this button. It's going to make it the primary. And that's on nav 2. I should have done on nav 1. So on nav 1, 113.6. Boom. So now I am tracking the VOR DME Los Angeles. When I get out to 15 nautical miles out, then I will make a turn to the left. Never turn right on the Loop 8 departure. Trust me. So once I do that, once we get to that, then we'll we can do vertical speed here. Yeah, we can go 2,000. We haven't engaged LNAV and VNAV yet because we're flying this Loop 8 departure, which technically I should be on. I'll change my heading on this here to 251. That's what I technically should be on. So I was off by about 4 degrees on that departure. Oh, the other thing too, your checklist. Okay, so on your gear handle, you take them up, and this thing right here will take my gear up and down, right? But it won't put in the middle. So watch this. So I'm gonna hover above this, and you see the hand. So a lot of people just take that and they just drag it down. Well, it accidentally goes to the down position, and all of a sudden your gears start lowering again. So if you do this, you hold your left mouse button down and barely move it, and it'll go down to the off position. Barely move it. So little tip I learned. Okay, so we're now at 11 miles out on the Los Angeles DME. So as you can see here in the description here, it says climb heading 251 to cross the Santa Monica 160 radial. We crossed that below 3,000. We're now expecting radar vectors to cross the Los Angeles VOR at 10,000. Well, we're only at 6,000 feet, so that's probably why, in general, you wait until you're 15 miles out from the VOR DME until you make that left turn. But you could get vectored to the LAX VOR sooner from air traffic control. So if we come up to our map, you can see here on the map, we're just flying out here. I should put in, well, it is in there. Okay, coming up to 15 on the DME. We'll go ahead and make a left turn. We'll use the autopilot to make the left turn out here. We're just going to we'll pretend that SoCal departure has asked us to do left turn direct LAX VOR. And they also said climb and maintain 15,000. So we're making our left turn to come back around. As you can see, I'm just rotating the heading knob here on the SciTech panel. We'll get lined up for the LAX VOR, and in just a little while, we'll engage our VNAV and LNAV. Let's also pretend that we've got unrestricted speed now, so I can go over here to the IAS and just take that up to 275 for now, whatever. Let's continue our turn toward the LAX VOR. And as you can see down here, there's our heading for the LAX VOR right there. Oops. So we're just crossing 060. Looks like it's going to be about 45. No, sorry. Yeah, 45. Oh no, that's 3. Yeah, it's about 45, give or take. We could line it up exactly if we go down to our course knob. Yeah, so right there it's 40. The opposite of 227. Now it's switched to 2. This is great how we can fly slant alpha in this plane. So right there, yeah, 45. So now we're headed toward the LAX VOR. We are it's interesting how on this page it's got, alright, so I think we can engage LNAV and VNAV at this point. Let's try it. Cross your fingers, right? LNAV, VNAV. It's doing it is doing a turn to the right. It's going to start us in a climb. Here we are coming back up over the airport. And just for grins and giggles, we'll tune in the next VOR, which we're really not using VORs for navigation, but 112.7. So I'll come over here to my SciTech panel, change this to 112.7, and click the switch. This makes this the primary, and we'll go back to the there's some nice cloud puffs coming out of here. There's our airport. So we'll come in here and yeah, it looks like the DME distance to Daggett is 107 miles. So that's cool. I think over here on the SciTech panel, let's see here, if we rotate this knob over here, I can move the camera just a little bit here. If we rotate this knob here down to DME, it does not work. Oh, maybe it's just slow. Oh, the sim's kind of the sim did not it paused there for a little while. So now, as you can see here, we've got DME distance counting down in the SciTech panel here. So that's kind of cool. Alright, so we go back here, and the other nice thing about ForeFlight, many of you have seen this before, is we have synthetic vision. So we can look at terrain, we can look at our speed and our altitude, and of course you can look at all of this in the plane. Oh, by the way, let's go ahead and take our altitude up to 29,000. Speaking of altitude. So yeah, the synthetic vision, and of course it can go full screen here. Where this comes in handy is if I'm on stream and I have an outside view, right? And I'm checking out the nice scenery coming out of the LA basin. I'm having a good time. But I can also just glance down to my ForeFlight and see what our altitude and speed and heading and different waypoint. So that's kind of handy to have there. Alright, so just a status check here on the VNAV and LNAV. We're flying to Coop. It's 5 miles away. We're supposed to be at 284 at or above 15,000 feet. We're at 15,000 feet right now, so we're into our cruise. Turn off the synthetic vision for now. If I hit this button up here in the upper right corner of the ForeFlight, you can't see me. I wonder if you can see this mouse cursor. So right up there, if I hit that button, right there, it'll automatically track the aircraft and keep it centered on the iPad screen. So our entire route, if we go over here to our nav log well, we can look here, is just, like I say, Los Angeles, loop 8 to Daggett transition, and then the Daggett transition into the KPIC 3 arrival. We're planning on ILS 25 left at Las Vegas. So we could go over here and we could prep. Ooh, we got a little bit of weather coming in. We'll let that load for a moment. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video in just a moment here, and we'll continue the next video in the cruise. But before I do that, I can come up here, turn off the satellite. So we're going to follow this KPIC 3 arrival down. Then we're going to fly down here on the ILS, still on the KPIC 3 arrival, down to the CHIPS waypoint. Then we'll turn left to the Poker waypoint, and we'll intercept the ILS to go down into runway 25 left. So yeah, join me on the next video for the remainder of cruise and the arrival, maybe the landing. We'll see.